Right, just a little bit about myself. Very similar to ZillaWorks. I did a lot of research over a number of years to get to the point where I am with Infinite Polymer Solutions. And really, we're now in a point where we're looking to leverage the capital to get the POC, proof of concept facility up and running. So I will start off with the presentation from here. Very broad and bold statement initially to start off with. The only third generation plastics remanufacturing facility capable of 10 million kilo per annum. And that's a very bold statement. But when it comes down to what that bold statement means, it's actually quite achievable, because each year we can take the equivalent of 10,000 40-foot containers of waste plastic, 233 million 1.5 litre Coke bottles. That's half the largest container ship of the world. If one company can do that, why do we have a waste problem with plastics? We're still exporting 60,000 tonnes a month from where I live in the northeast of England. And that's just on one polymer. Out of the northeast, we have 240 tonnes a month going outside of the northeast into UK pre-processing companies to sell and clean and wash and generate exports into the marketplace. But we don't have manufacturing that can handle that in the UK. But we do, once we get Infinite Polymer Solutions, extrusions up and running. And we can produce 10 million kilos per annum of top class usable finished product for the building and constructions market. So when we do that, we get into a situation where we are tackling the problems. And the problems are timber. Timber growth, unprecedented requirement over the next 5 to 10 years. Price is increasing massively. Acute timber forecasts shortages. Wood composites are starting to fail in the UK market and the global marketplace now because of the low quality that's coming out of China. And like a lot of companies have highlighted here, environmental targets are being unmet. 24 tonnes of plastic waste, for instance, goes into landfill, dumped into the sea and food chains every year in the UK. So what are we doing about it? Because everybody's recycling product from products that are in the marketplace and creating that circular economy. Circular economies are all very good, but they do not resolve the problem of what's there in the marketplace and what's coming into the marketplace, because the marketplace is now being driven by early doors of mining into the old landfills. And they're doing that and they're recovering gold and high quality materials. But the residue that is in there from the plastics, which over 60, 70 years of being dumped into the ground, is still there. We can take all of that, and we can take all of that and more, because at the end of the day, we need to deliver the products in the marketplace that are suitable for the environment, suitable for the construction marketplace. And the manufacturers that are doing that at the moment are not upgrading their product for future use. They're not future-proofing their products. They are leaving it as a standard product on a basic construction grade level. Our entry product has been proved and tested through R&D.
1 minute warning.
Than theirs. $92.3 trillion US marketplace. 8.5 billion of that is in the UK. Go to market. We have all the routes into the marketplace because we understand it through 10, 20 years of my experience in the timber and builders merchants industry, along with my founding directors. Competition, Goodell, Centriforce, Hahn, 3 of the largest players in the UK. Hahn Global, just opened office in North America. What can we do? We have proprietary breakthrough technology, deep domain experience, scientific credentials, regulatory authority and influences, and we are in a preferential location with being in the northeast and across the UK. Founded by myself, I have a sales director on board who will come on board full-time once we get the manufacturing facility on, and 2 leaders, Barry Davis and Chris Jones, both founding directors with myself.
Your time is up. What are you looking for to raise?
Overall, I've 2 phases, 6 million. First phase is 1 million proof of concept.
And what will the 6 million get you to?
There. We have full scalability, full design plans for phase 2. And that's what we're prepared to offer on a deal for initial proof of concept. 12% equity board member, phase 2 increasing to 20%, 20% dividend from profitability per annum, and ROI on successful negotiation for exit.
Jason, you want to kick things off?
Sure. Yeah, can you walk through some of the either sales pipeline or initial, kind of that first group of early adopters that would be involved with?
Yeah, the early stage adopters are going to be the timber and builders merchants, the companies like Sansbank, B&Q, 2 of the major players in the UK and European marketplace. My personal background has been Travis Perkins, working with the timber and builders merchants for 20-odd years. So I understand those markets. Barry John Davis has already implemented the wood plastic composites with the largest sawmill producer in the UK, BSW Timber. So we understand the marketplace and routes to the marketplace. We just need to be able to get the product into the marketplace now.
Okay. And what are they looking to see proven out, or what would prevent them from signing letter of intents and contracts today?
Right. The prevention they've got is that we have proprietary formulation. We can take 7 to 8 different polymers and produce the product they require. The product we've already tested in R&D has a better quality and properties than what's on the marketplace, which is produced by Hahn. Now, Hahn have been in the marketplace for 30-odd years. Started out with a very low-grade product in Germany, moved into the UK by buying a company that was failing, and have recently gone into North Canada to target the US marketplaces. We have a pipeline of proposals to drive the product down the structural capacity route by provision of increments by including carbon fibres, glass cut strand, and potentially even Blake's, which is a carbon graphene paper.
Great. Yeah, and then are there any either channel partners or government-based programs?
There's government-based programs are there, but they're generally targeting the packaging marketplaces rather than the construction marketplaces.
Okay.
And the channel partners, we would go down the route with the proven channel partners to break the marketplace under OEM brand, because we've obviously got a product here that we can use as a baseline product, which would sit very comfortably against ungraded carcassing timbers. But if we can adopt the customer lines with the OEM brand of using structural-based products, they can then go up against the grade SC4s, the SC5s, and into the kiln-dried treated materials marketplace, of which we're within 10%.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, I guess my last question is, you touched a little bit about, on your background and some of your connections, like who else is involved in the team, and yeah, if you want to share a little bit about their backgrounds too.
I mean, at the moment, there's only 2 co-founding directors. That's Barry John Davis and Chris Jones. Chris Jones has had a background of working as an entrepreneur and investor privately with other companies. And he's got heavily involved with the space marketplace, and specifically with 2 and 3 tier drones. And he's brought in that capability of the graphene links, where we can roll the paper into structural capacity because they're using graphenes in space travel. Barry John Davis, 20, 30 years of working globally within the timber and the wood composite marketplace, has delivered brand companies in manufacturing in the UK, South Africa, Australia, and in America. Worked very heavily with Trex.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you.
Matt, you want to go next?
Sure. Like, I guess kind of just like on like the fundamental angle for the company, do you see yourselves more as a manufacturing company or a material?
Oh, definitely. Definitely manufacturing. The technology we've got is in the manufacturing side. I've spent 2 or 3 years working and learning how to operate the machinery in its own basis from day one, really. So I fully understand the whole process and how that product needs to be produced, because it's all about back pressures through the extrusion and the drying times of the various different polymers. We do have plans to take it to marketplace through trade brand, which we would directly go into the trade marketplace with. We're looking for distribution partners rather than going direct B2C. If we go direct B2C, it gives us fundamentally too many problems, because we're looking to take product back once it's been used and revoked in the marketplace by end of life. We can actually bring it back into the marketplace and reproduce it. And we can do that 8 times before we can finally go to full reproduction of synthetic grade oils. So we can fully have a product that's 100% recyclable. And to get to net zero, which is where we want to start the business out from, we're looking at solar and biodiesel generation to power the plant. But the second phase, we would actually look to link the extruders through further R&D and engineering to in-house generators, which potentially we can deliver up to half a gigawatt of power from a 24/7 operation.
Thank you.
If it's such a straightforward business, why is no one else doing it? And what's your story?
The infrastructure in place is, with the existing companies, is fundamentally too expensive for them to replace. If you take Hahn, they've got 4 manufacturing plants, 2 in Europe, 1 in the UK and 1 over in North America. And they built their product over 30 years. To take that product out of the marketplace, which they would have to do by stopping production and then re-implementing the product exactly the same, is going to be a very hard process to do, because they use intrusion molding for their superior product. But to do that and gain structural capacity, they used a steel or aluminium insert into the mold. Their standard extruded product is very flexible, and that's produced over in Germany. And that's because it's on a linear low density, high property for formulation. But we can compress the polypropylenes, polyethylenes, nylons, PMMAs, and polystyrenes, along with linear low density and low density, into the product, which gives it a better capability already than the more flexible LLD product. So they would lose market growth effectively by changing their product market, their product output at the moment.
That's always helpful on your side of things. What's the biggest challenge? What's the biggest challenge or struggle that you have currently?
Trying to find the capitalization to put the plant together. That is the biggest struggle, because the UK marketplace is very anti-manufacturing at the moment. It's not looking for manufacturers; it's looking for tech products and all tech investment. 80% of investment in the UK market is down in tech, and we're not a tech company. We are a hardcore manufacturing company, and that's a hard thing to raise established funding for, because it's a long-term feedback and long-term exit structure rather than short-term high growth. Although we have the high growth through the production and scalability of the plant.
Is there any possibility of licensing?
Oh, definitely. Chris and I have often spoken about this, and because we want to blueprint the whole footprint from day one and report it and put the whole package together, we can take that into the third world countries where we would eliminate and reduce the costings, because a lot of the polymers are sitting there in third world countries, and we can gain a lot of European funding for doing that, as well as a lot of DTI backing from the government. But we have to have the proof of concept in place first.
Why do you think it's proven so hard to get a proof of concept?
I started this and driven it basically by myself from day one, because I got to a situation where I was dealing with the global marketplaces and I was stopped from going back into the timber trade because I was working for a manufacturer that basically stopped me from doing that because I had too much inside knowledge. And then I started to do the research for myself to find out where the products were going in the future. And this was back in 2010, 2011. And I spent 2.5, 3 years putting that information together to drive this forward under my own remit. I did get a company up and running for distribution for a mixed waste product. And the European manufacturer then decided to sidestep and wound the company down because they couldn't produce the quantities and volumes that we were looking at in the UK market.